So when I was a little girl, I remember seeing my uncle smoking, and he didn't even finish the cigarettes. He just threw them away. And once I picked it up, and then I tried a cigarette, and then I kind of liked it. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I really like this. So I started to make my own cigarettes with book pages, and then, but thank God I realized that what I was doing wasn't good for me, for my health. So I stopped. So we know that cigarettes are bad, harmful for us, but now we have like what's electronic cigarettes, we have hookahs, we have biddies, we have menthol cigarettes, and like that's modern from this time. So today I wanna tell you that all smokings are harmful for the human health, and they have long or short term effects in humans. So first of all, I'm gonna explain about electronic cigarettes. The director of the Center of Abuse, Linda Richter, said that electronic cigarettes are sold like healthier or better than tobacco cigarettes, but that's not the truth. Electronic cigarettes also are harmful for the health, and they can cause cancer, lung problems, heart problems, and so we know that electronic cigarettes are not as good as we think. And then we have hookahs. The Center of Cancer said that hookahs are also dangerous. They have effects on us. They can also cause lung problems and cancer and bronchitis and so they're not good for us neither. Also we have biddies. Biddies are sold with flavors like cherry, pineapple, vanilla, chocolate, but it's like the same thing. The National Drug Abuse stated that biddies contain 3 to 5 times the amount of nicotine that tobacco cigarettes do. So that's not good for us. That's like addictive. That's why people want to smoke more and more, and they can cause lung problems and blood pressure. And also we have marijuana. Okay, marijuana. Maybe we haven't heard that marijuana. Someone died from smoking marijuana. We don't know that, right? But marijuana has short effects on people, such as mood changes, different thinking. They don't really pay attention how they get high. They don't. They don't. They can't think very well. And then long-term effects of marijuana are research from New Zealand Duke University showed that marijuana, people who smoke marijuana from since they were teenagers, they lost 8 IQ points. IQ it's a test used to measure the intelligence. So marijuana has effects on our brain to the way we learn. And then, so what I want you to know, conclusion, all kind of smoking are harmful for human health. We have hookah, we have electronic cigarettes, we have BDs, but all those are not good for you, and they have effects. And even marijuana that we may think that is used for medicinal. So marijuana also have effects on us. And so if you may smoke something, you can find help and stop causing harm to yourself. That's it.
She said no one's back, but we turned off.
I know.
Which is worse.
I don't.
No, you did a lot better. Huh?
So Alan, some thoughts?
I think it was pretty good overall. Like her voice, I mean, she can be a little bit louder, but it was pretty good, and her eye contact was pretty good too. The only thing was that like she like started out with like nicotine and like smoking like cigarettes, stuff like that, and then like it kind of caught me off guard when she started mentioning marijuana. Like it was just like I don't know when she mentioned marijuana, but other than that, it's pretty good.
Okay, well, I kind of like the attention device that you have, the memory of finding your uncle's cigarette and smoking it yourself, and then trying cigarettes and knowing that was, and figuring out ultimately that was a bad idea. The transition to the notion that people are seeing these alternative delivery systems and thinking them as being safe, I think that is a good point. I do think you could use a little bit of information that's really one of the reasons that people sort of gravitate toward those things instead of cigarettes, is that they think it's a safer alternative. And then your goal basically is pretty straightforward, to demonstrate that these are not, in fact, safer alternatives, that there are dangers associated with each of them. It's organized by the different types, so we've got a topical method of organization when it comes to the forms of smoking that you're talking about, the e-cigs, the hookahs, BDs, and marijuana. I think the notion, I think you could probably use a general argument that says inhaling anything into your lungs other than oxygen is potentially problematic, and what is it that you're inhaling with all of these particular products? That's where I think you could maybe have a unifying theme that goes along here, that you're clearly doing something that is different than just normal breathing, and that's what causes the problems. The fact is that there are different kinds of problems because you're inhaling different sorts of things. The e-cigarettes, you said at one point that there's cancer and lung disease and heart problems associated with this. I didn't hear a source citation on that. I heard one quote that you had here talking about how people think that it's being sold as an alternative, a safe alternative. I'm not sure if that's the same source that claims that there are all these harms, or if there's a different source on that. It was not clear. And I didn't hear any statistical data on this, no examples. At best, it's a claim that is unsubstantiated here. And if it does relate to the person that you cited there, their authority, then you need to make that a lot clearer. On the hookah issue, I didn't hear any source citation on that. The notion that there are problems that are associated with this. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't hear anything. I did hear the Center of Cancer. I think you probably have the group name incorrect. I know that there are groups. It gets a little confusing trying to remember the names of all the organizations. So I don't want to say that there wasn't any evidence here, but it wasn't very clear. It seemed like it was very generic, and it's like a summary argument on your part more than it is something that's a direct quote. And my guess would be that the direct quote would be a lot more devastating a criticism than what you've said, and that would be helpful. The BDs, you basically talk about the amount of nicotine in them. They've got 3 to 5 times as much nicotine, and I'm going, okay, that's another one that I know there's probably a place that you got that information. It needs to be a little bit clear. The stuff that says that nicotine is harmful, that's the stuff that has to be expanded on, because nicotine is the main issue here. It's mostly the addiction issue that you're talking about here as opposed to long-term health consequences, unless addiction in itself is a health consequence, which I think you could probably argue. The marijuana argument is, you've got a couple of pieces of information here talking about IQ points and the way it affects people's thinking. I'm not exactly sure that marijuana is one of those alternatives to tobacco products that people use. I don't have any. I don't want to smoke a Marlboro. I'll just have some of this instead. That feels like it's kind of connected mostly because it's a smoking thing, but I'm not sure it's motivated by the same sorts of issues that are going on there. You could probably have an entire argument on just that issue about whether or not there are dangers and what those dangers are, and convincing people that you're correct on that. The presentation, I think, was a little quiet. I think you need to be a little bit more energetic occasionally. But you're doing okay. I mean, there's nothing that was really problematic. It's just you needed more practice, I think. I think you needed more practice, and you needed to know your material a little bit better, and that would help. All right, thank you.